Here to score it for us is the master of disaster public relations specialist, Mike Paul.
Mike Paul, known as the reputation doctor.
Well, there's a court of law and there's a court of public opinion.
Mike Paul is a crisis PR and reputation management expert.
Is all about reputation.
Got some tips on rebuilding those reputations.
You first have to be transparent and then be accountable for your actions.
He's got to get on the truth train right now.
There's no ifs or buts in a true apology. You must speak directly to the issues that you've been involved with.
You're going to have an across-the-board solution that is more than words, and you got to have actions. Hello, and welcome to the Reputation Doctor 2022 Top 10 list of reputations and brands in crisis. Drum roll, please. Number 10, the British monarchy and the UK legacy of racism and colonialism within the royal family. Continuing into 2022, we've seen what has happened most recently in the Netflix special of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. Wow. But guess what? Racism and the atrocities of colonialism didn't start with them. The British monarchy has been involved, sadly, with racism and major misdeeds for hundreds of years. What is happening is we're seeing a clear flashlight spotlight on how bad it is, even in today's day. Look for this crisis within the monarchy tied to racism to continue as we hear more truth, more anger, more leaks, more spin, and much more to come as Meghan and Harry continue to have as much interest as the new king and his brother, the prince, which will continue to anger the royal family. Number 9, Kanye West and his anti-Semitic comments. Wow, what a crisis this year. His Adidas sponsorship dissolved, and so many other brands ran from him after his anti-Semitic remarks. He even included Hitler in his remarks. This is something that has ruined his legacy forever, embarrassing to his family and his children, but most importantly, lost him also not just reputational impact, but also had a major financial hit in the billions of dollars because of his attitude and ego tied to anti-Semitism and seeking to be associated with comments that were so damaging that no one will forget them. Number 8, Qatar and the World Cup. Many people have learned that the Qatar administration was tied to the building of stadiums by what has strong allegations of slave-like labor that helped build those stadiums and other infrastructure in Qatar for the World Cup. Hundreds upon hundreds of men and women died in the building of those stadiums. We also saw clearly during the World Cup that there were many issues tied to anti-gay rights, anti-human rights, and so many other atrocities that were involved with the World Cup because of the legacy of the policies and the culture of the Middle East that still do not respect all as equal. Was it worth it? How much money did Qatar pay to get the World Cup? And what is their legacy today? Beyond the playing of soccer, football, as many of us worldwide call it, real football, what legacy did Qatar get with the amount of investment that they had? Well, many would say that it's still a troubled, scandaled, scarred culture because of the way they treat many human beings in their country still today. Number 7, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and his anti-woke policies that continue to lead not only in the state of Florida, but now he is a top Republican candidate for the presidency of the United States for 2024. We're seeing copycat policies similar to those hurtful anti-woke policies that are in Florida popping up across the country like trial balloons, and also coming off the lips of those within the MAGA movement and other elected officials who are tied to the current Republican Party. It's a mess. Look for Ron DeSantis' influence to continue through 2024. He leads former President Trump in the polls currently by 23% as the lead Republican candidate for President of the United States. Pretty scary. Number 6, cryptocurrency and its fraudulent and Ponzi schemed reputation. Many people across the globe, not just here in the United States, have lost so much money, many had to file for bankruptcy because of the risky cryptocurrency investments they made in the recent year or two. Cryptocurrency is still here. Cryptocurrency is still in crisis. Cryptocurrency continues to be scandal-filled, but many still continue to take the risk and put their money into it as a very volatile investment instrument that many say is foolish to be putting your money into today. Look for cryptocurrency to continue to be in crisis. Be careful with your money. Be careful with your family's money. Be careful with your investments. Number 5, Donald Trump. Donald Trump is still on the list. He's dropped down to number 5, but his influence is still great, not only in the United States, but in the world. He has major legal issues. His scandals that continue to be legally led are going to have him in court, and not only 2023, but into 2024. Everything from the classified documents that he brought to Mar-a-Lago and other places there he lives, as well as the January 6th association, personally and directly by Donald Trump himself. We'll see if the Justice Department brings charges either by the end of the year or into early 2023. And we know that it's not only affecting his brand personally, but the brand of his businesses and his children, including his in-laws. We'll be watching all things Trump, still in scandal, moving into 2023. Number 4, the U.S. Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court decision against federal abortion rights was so impactful, it was a tsunami wave that helped with Democrats to be elected during this year's midterms. Women, including many women of color, by the way, came out to vote in huge numbers in support of abortion rights, not only at the federal level, but within their own states. In fact, many of those women were not only women of color, many of those women were young women. Women who are at an age that they could have children themselves, who said, not on my watch, we're going to hold our country accountable by getting our vote out and voting with a clear message that we won't stand for it. But the Supreme Court not only had major issues regarding abortion rights, there are major issues that the court is still grappling with, dealing with everything from gay rights to civil rights to marriage rights and so much more that is so right-wing. It's important for us to remember there are 3 equal branches of government in the United States. And the U.S. Supreme Court, the judicial branch, is as important as the presidency and Congress. And when we forget that, we are vulnerable. Keep watching the U.S. Supreme Court, have your voice heard in the elections, and speak truth to power. Number 3 on the list, Putin and Russia. Where do I start with Putin? Obviously, the war in Ukraine is an abomination. So many people have died. So many people have been impacted. The impact has been felt also economically and socially way outside of the Ukraine and Russia. Everything from energy has been affected to the cost of goods to the social impact of those who have loved ones who live in both countries, and so much more. Look for Putin to be on the list next year too, because this is far from over. And make sure you understand that the impact of what's happening in Ukraine and Russia will continue to affect us all. His health is also something that is in crisis, and we'll see how sick he actually is as he continues to allegedly hide his health issues. Number 2, Elon Musk and Twitter. Elon Musk has now been positioned as a dictator-style CEO that says the buck stops with me, that I don't care about the board, that the decisions will come personally from me. I've decimated any rules regarding protecting speech, free speech of all types, hate speech, everything is included now, bringing back even an option for Donald Trump to come back to Twitter. He's thrown out many of the attorneys who are involved with seeking to protect Twitter's content from the atrocities that are happening today. And just as important, many people have already left Twitter, are planning on leaving Twitter, including some of the biggest advertisers who've been associated with Twitter since its founding. Look for Twitter to continue to be in crisis, and look for much more bleeding to happen with those who are leaving, including advertisers. And number 1, drum roll, please. The MAGA, Make America Great Again movement in America is the number 1 reputation and brand in crisis on my reputation doctor list. Why is that? The growth of anti-Semitism, hate groups of all types, anti-people of color, white fear, white supremacy is all tied, sadly, to many different types of MAGA groups that live and breathe in America. Their impact continues to still be strong. Some of them are being elected to political offices. Some of them are being elected also to school boards around the United States. And it's high time we speak about it openly with the impact that it has to us all. They're not going away anytime soon, folks. Their strength continues to be there, and unless we speak truth to that power, they will continue for many years to come. Look for the MAGA movement to still be an issue. Look for the Department of Justice. Look for the FBI. Look for more law enforcement groups to be involved with not only investigating them, but seeking to punish them as we move forward. That's my list. The Reputation Doctor 2022 Top 10 list of reputations and brands in crisis. Thank you so much for listening. The Reputation Doctor t-shirt for the top 10 list is people over profit. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but for those who are still asking questions, what that simply means is whether it's a business, government, nonprofit organization, family, or individual, we need to be thinking of people first, not money first. Not making money, not making profit, not thinking dollars and cents or quantitatively. We need to be thinking qualitatively, and more importantly, we need to be thinking from an EQ perspective, as we talk about a lot on this program, that emotional intelligence, which is tied to people and feelings and emotions and trying to put ourselves in other people's shoes, is extremely important for full understanding. People over profit. Thanks so much. Well, I just want to add my RepDoc opinion for this year's Reputation Doctor 2022 top 10 list of reputations in crisis. First of all, I'm so blessed for this to be, believe it or not, the 30th year that I've put this list together. So this is not the imitators, this is the originator coming up with a top 10 list of reputations and brands in crisis. It's been in print form for much of those years, and I'm so blessed to now have it in video and podcast audio form for everyone to listen to. A few comments about today's list. Number one, you saw a lot of racism within the list. And that's so sad for me to have to point out, but it's tied to so many reputations that are in crisis, not just in the United States, but around the world. You saw the examples of the UK. You see even examples of Qatar. And beyond racism, we have human rights violations, civil rights violations, gender rights violations, gay rights violations of all types that are happening, not just in the United States, but around the world. Other examples include what's happening in the Middle East and Iran, what's happening in China, what happened in Qatar that was brought out with the World Cup, and of course what's happening in our own backyard right here in the United States. Please try to love each other. Try to understand that because someone has a different skin color or nationality or accent or faith or religion, that we all bleed red, that we're all human beings, that we all deserve love, and that we all need to be in this together. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for watching and listening to the Reputation Doctor 2022 top 10 lists of brands and reputations in crisis. And remember, less head work, more heart work. Peace. Happy New Year. Happy 2023. Happy holidays. Don't forget to follow us on our YouTube channel as well as in our audio podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. Thank you very much.